Welcome to Career Globalization with Winnie. Today we have the guest Yan here.
Hi.
Yan, hi. He's my mentor. He's my loved boss, uh,
Oh, okay.
ex-boss
Yep.
though, but still he has very experienced career path in like Hong Kong, in Canada. So I turn to you, Yan. Can you give us a little bit background about your career path?
Sure. Again, thank you for inviting me. I saw your channel. I'm glad that I will be useful to help sharing some of the experience. Oh, this is my 10th year in Canada. I moved to Canada 10 years ago from Hong Kong. So I've been working with RBC Royal Bank Canada for the last 10 years in risk management. So the first 5 years in Canada is market risk, which we met. And then I moved to retail credit risk in the last 5 years, doing a bit more modeling and analytics. So that was the 10 years. And before that, I spent almost 20 years in Hong Kong. So I'm not young, as you can add the math, to do more on the front office, trading. There, I have done different, specialties in different products classes. Before I came as equity derivative, and then I've done FX and interest rate derivative products. By and large, I was more a derivative person, creating structured products and together with traders and sales that we can come to bring some products to the market and get clients to use the product so that we can make some money.
Mhm. Cool. Okay, so you have so much experience. Let me find out like how we dig into one by one.
Sure.
All right, let's start from like why Canada? So you came to Canada 10 years ago.
Right.
Is there any special reason why you chose Canada, this country specifically?
Completely random. No. Uh, it was really a life-changing event, right? It's a big move from Asia to North America, Hong Kong to Canada. Uh, the simplest way to explain it is for children.
Mhm.
My kids was about 10 years old at the time, finishing what we call primary school in Hong Kong. Obviously, it's a very competitive study environment, so I don't think they enjoy school that much, and they will be struggling. I would say really struggling in high school. Well, hopefully they won't see that this video, but it won't be as fun to go through high school in Asia or in Hong Kong. So we thought about what other choices we have, and it's really coincidental that my boss now actually worked with me in Hong Kong. So he came back to Canada first, and he said there may be opportunity in Canada, which I never travel and visit before. And so it's the first time I came to Toronto, actually did the job interview, and oh, Toronto is like this, great. And then I again with him, it's easier to actually land a job. So, and I make the choice, and to back test it, the children are so happy. So I think this is the primary reason we move, and not to mention other benefit of the house is, bigger. Hong Kong is like this small here. You can have a bit more space. And
Right.
generally, Canada is a great country for foreigners, right? To trying to find their new home. So I think this is, all the good reason that why we came.
Mm-hmm. So now that you have spent like significant amount of time in both regions, right, like Hong Kong and Canada, so and also like both in banking industry. So I would say like you can make a fair assessment and comparison if I ask you to compare the work in banking industry in Hong Kong and Canada. So maybe let's start from like the job mandate perspective. Are there significant difference?
Very interesting, somewhat challenging comparison because I changed from more a front office role
Right.
to risk management. So I don't have the right difference, right? Risk management versus risk management. It's more
Mhm.
frontline versus risk management. But I can actually try to compare more fairly. First of all, in Asia, I don't even remember who is our risk management, right? I mean, we were on the trading floor. We generally do not talk to risk management, and we don't want to talk to them. So I don't even know what is their presence and what is their role there. Now I moved to Canada and then try risk management. I found out the role and the mandate is really meaningful to provide that effective challenge to the business. So I think we do see the partnership. The mandate is more well defined in North American because I think the history and the evolution,
Right.
whereas in Asia is more open-ended. In a smaller setup, the organization I work in Hong Kong is smaller, unlike Royal Bank in Canada is one of the biggest bank. So it's less well defined. So everyone is doing something across different areas. Whereas in Canada is more well defined. Your risk management, you're specialized in one area, let's say equity, then you focus on that and you're trying to deliver value to the organization and work with your partners including trading. So I think in some way it's easier to navigate in a well organized organization like us and trying to help each other, whereas in Asia you are free to explore and
Mm-hmm.
trying to hopefully make a mark, make a contribution to your particular operation. So it's more competitive, less well defined. So I think that will be my first, order comparison, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you think like the regulators also contribute to the differences?
Definitely, I think that also, contributed the difference in experience. Like I said, I wasn't risk management back in Asia, but
Mm.
I remember our engagement with the authority. It's called HKMA. And for sure, they came in to visit us. We do get the alert saying that behave because they're coming. So we remember that. I don't think, again, with the experience with, US ahead of most people in trading operation, the rigor is different. So it's more demanding, more, the regulation is more stringent,
Mm-hmm.
definitely in US compared with Asia. That I think will create some difference. And in some way, I think Asia is trying to catch up, right? Given that everyone want to come up to the same international standard. I'm less familiar with the situation in China because Hong Kong, China is still a bit different in terms of regulation. But I have the impression they are also catching up, just like what we're doing now in U.S. or American. Something is similar is happening in Asia, in Hong Kong, in China. Whatever is Basel or IFRS, they are also going through similar process, slightly behind us,
Yeah.
but it's becoming, I think, somewhat converging.
Mm-hmm. I see. And in terms of like how people do their job, like more from behavior or like from like the team culture perspective, are there significant differences in the banking culture if you compare Canada versus Hong Kong?
Again, the comparison may be not fair given I have changed different mandates, but I'll start with Canada now. This is my current job for sure. We definitely look at human as an important component, in our operation, right? Everyone works hard, but on the other hand, everyone needs a work-life balance.
Right.
So I do think that this is something that is being talk about, discuss more openly in Canada. They emphasize it. Everyone needs to find that balance. So whereas in Asia, and again, time difference also contribute. 10 years ago, I never heard people saying that. Okay, you work too hard. There's never that statement. Work as hard as you want. No one will stop you. We do work extra long hours. I think it's still happening as we heard from our friends in China or in Asia. So yeah, I think that culture, human-centric work-life balance, and development is also a joint effort between the individual employee and the senior management, trying to find a path for you to progress and move around in the organization so you can test your skill in different areas. That is again very, very open, evident conversation in North American, particularly in Canada.
Mm-hmm. So was this like difference a shock to you when you first joined the Canadian bank? Will this be like, oh, my working environment is too chill, too easy?
Definitely, I think it takes some adjustment. I wouldn't say shock because it's actually going to the right direction, right? It's a good surprise. People talk about development, talk about work-life balance, talk about how we should help each other more. Whereas in Asia, it's very competitive, right? Do your thing, trying to outperform the next person so that you can come ahead. That mindset is very, dominant in Asia. So I like that changes. I'm more worried about can I go back and adjust to it, right? So if I do need to return to Asia, that will be an adjustment that on the opposite direction. So
Right.
I think that is a very natural and progressive change that I went through from Hong Kong to Toronto.
Mhm.
So I appreciate it.
So since you mentioned like now, I also noticed that a lot of people are tend to go back to Asia these days, being Hong Kong or like mainland China. In general, macroeconomic perspective, what's your view on the future for financial industry?
Oh, that comes to this is a difficult question that
It's also a personal view,
yeah. So I'm not going to advise you guys to follow my proposal or suggestion. It's quite personal. I
right?
do see that the difference is different enough that one should try both.
Mhm.
Just simple fact that you should try different experience. So if you go right back to Asia without trying how it works out in North America, you miss that experience, right? Let's say you finish school, you should try it out here for a couple of years, see how you like it.
Right.
And then if you make the choice, you know why you make that choice. Whereas if you just jump right back, you don't know, maybe you actually like it a lot, right? So I think trying both is important. By the same token, I do advise the young ones to try the other one, right? If you stay in Canada and work it out for a couple of years, finding your way, but at the, I think, right timing, try also the Asian option because I think they present a very different value proposition. They may, work extra hard, but the growth and the development pace is different. I think everyone can see that they are still up and coming. A lot of fintechs is popping up
Mhm.
in China. So their work style, their work environment is different, right? I mean, and the actual market is different.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it's quite big, right? I mean, China, which I think have what is it, 1 billion, people or plus, whereas Canada is 30 million. So you do see a different size of market and different segmentation.
For sure.
So I strongly recommend people to try both. Maybe try a little bit Canada while you are here, and then at the right moment, find an option to experience the Asia path too. So I think that's definitely useful. And after that, then you may have data, like you said, data from both experience, and you can make a choice afterwards to
Right.
see where do you fit in terms of lifestyle and your ambition.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So I think it's still like a little bit easier for like people who come from Asia and then do their study or like work in North America for a few years and then make a decision whether I want to go back or not. But
Mhm.
what if I were a local here in North America? What if I was born here, I grew up here, and I've never been to Hong Kong or like China, but under the current environment, I do want to give it a try. Are there any, let's say, industry that are more open to foreigners? And I think one more important component is the language barrier.
Mm.
I'm not sure like if that's applicable to Hong Kong, but definitely in mainland China, right? What's your experience maybe 10 years ago when you were still working in Hong Kong? Like have you seen a lot of foreigners who do not have Asian background at all working in Hong Kong? And are there any barriers from your perspective?
I would say no, but my sample is quite biased,
Mhm.
not just the time difference. I don't think it has, changed for like less open in the last 10 years, but more in trading environment, the trading floor, as you can imagine, I don't think, it will be 100% or not even close to, local. It's actually a good mix. And in a lot of companies, big company like yours, it will have maybe more foreigners than the locals. So I think they definitely welcome a lot of external talents. And the law or the what is it immigration policy is very open for people to come in. You make a case, and I don't think it's take a lot of work for people to get a work permit in Hong Kong. I would not be able to comment the situation in China. I think Singapore is similarly open, but they have changed, maybe many times since then. But generally, English is a acceptable language in Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and is definitely the working language in a financial institution.
Mm-hmm.
Cat market again may be a bias sample, very very common. Maybe in some case French is even more common than English if you're trading exotics, right? So I remember some teams is completely French speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see a language as a barrier, uh, and people generally welcome new ideas. In the last 10 years, I do have heard about experience that because of the business is so much growing in China,
Mm-hmm.
most of the capital market business have to have a big China presence. So having or uh, be able to speak Chinese is an advantage. So I do think that people generally now need to try both.
Mm-hmm.
If you're fluent in English, try to learn a little bit of Chinese, the local language is more fun and also useful for your Chinese clients. So I think it's changing a little bit to demand more Chinese than before. But otherwise, I do think that in capital market or generally financial institution, they usually welcome talents from everywhere.
Got it.
People have questions, if you have comments and you can relate to me, I can help, answering them or even doing some offline chat.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is I think we went through it ourselves to change from one country, one environment to another. It
Mm-hmm.
took some adjustment from us, and there's definitely some pros and cons.
Yeah.
If we could help in some ways other people trying to go through that experience and share the success and sometimes challenge, definitely I want to help. Well,
Yeah.
again, thank you. If you need me again, let me know. But otherwise, I'm so enjoying this conversation. Thank you, Candice.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.